Hello, America. Dave Hodges here, host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. I'm going to cover a generic topic here before I launch into specifics in the following segments. And I've been saying I'm not voting for anyone that I don't believe is a Christian, and I'm going to make mistakes, and people can lie and they can pretend, and I can misjudge. Or maybe you have two atheists running against each other. I say do a write-in. But it's not that I don't think other religions have a right to exist. They do, even though how wrong I think they might be. They have a right to judge me and say that your beliefs are not our beliefs and vice versa. And that's fine. And we live in respect. I mean, first of all, you look at Genesis 1:27, we're all made in the image of God. Okay, so yeah, I still love and respect people who don't believe as I believe. But when it comes down to making decisions over who gets to make decisions about my life, who gets to rule over me, I'm not settling for anything less than a Christian. And I think Obama was right about one thing. President Obama said, we're no longer a Christian nation. Now, he was trying to defile Christianity when he said it. That was his real intention. But I think the overall effect of what he said is correct. And I'm going to go through a brief, kind of like Billy Joel. We didn't light the fire. I'm not going to go into that much detail. It was one of the best songs ever written. The words on that for the time it was written were fantastic. But in terms of what I'm going to do is go through some major things here and say Christian nations don't do what we have done. And I'm going to just detail, I made a list here, and this is an abbreviated list, very abbreviated. But we are not a Christian nation. Now, we have Christians, we have great Christians, and it is the dominant religion. But having a religion doesn't mean you're Christian. You can go to church and not know Jesus. And this is something that I'm going to hang my hat on. And I think this is the baseline from which I'm going to launch everything. Because unless we rediscover or actually uncover our moral compass, and I'm saying basically John 3:16, okay, that's the covenant that I have with the Lord Jesus and with the Lord himself. Unless we uncover that and follow, this nation has no hope. I was just talking to an agent and we were discussing current events. We actually talked about Candace Owens' meaningless debate with Wilson, who absolutely had no business being before a camera on the topic of Charlie Kirk. He made a fool of himself. And I made that statement, and I'll clean this up again for TV. My father used to say, son, bad things happen, just move on. Okay. Go on to the next venture and do better because the more you stir bad stuff, the worse it stinks. And TPUSA can't stop stirring it. And I'm not trying to be disgusting and gross, but it's a great analogy for what they do. The more they talk, the more people disbelieve them. They should have just gone radio silent. They wanted to go against Charlie's wishes and be America first and go Israel first. Well, okay, that's your right as an organization. Okay. They should have just done it instead of, if you don't believe what we believe, you're anti-Semitic. Okay, well, all of a sudden now you're getting people ticked off. And I'd say this to the people, the good people of Israel. Okay, I oppose anti-Semitism, obviously for family root reasons, because it's part of my family and my ancestry is Jewish. But besides that, I don't want to ever see a repeat of the Holocaust. I agree. Israel has a right to exist. I've rooted for Israel in every war until Gaza. Right? You guys ought to really take the significance of that. But really, what is happening right now, organizations like TPUSA, for someone who's not anti-Semitic, they're making people anti-Semitic because of this war that's killing our economy. Soon, we could be killing lots of our young people by sending ground troops in. And that's certainly an option on the table where I think we may address that today or certainly tomorrow. We're going to address that because there's new information on that. But ladies and gentlemen, what I want to make sure that you understand from my perspective is that the only way out of this mess is not put your faith in Donald Trump or in JD Vance or Marco Rubio or Joe Biden or Obama, whoever it is. It's put your faith in one entity, God that took human form. That's the only way out of this mess. Now, there's some things we can do to slow down our entrapment, and we are being entrapped. I mean, look at the wealth redistribution going on in this country. Every statistic screams rich are getting richer, middle class is getting poorer, the poor are getting destitute. And then we're punishing the destitute by putting them in internment camps like in the state of Utah that's made homelessness a crime, with 8 other states considering similar legislation. This is so, so immoral. But this is the direction we're going. We can slow it down, and I'm going to talk about some slow down strategies that we can do. But first, I just want to go through and talk about a few things here, okay? Um, America didn't even start out as a Christian nation. From the early conquistadors, they encountered Native Americans. If they wouldn't convert to Catholicism, whether they believed it or not, they killed them on the spot. Okay, so it's just like convert or it's the sword. And then you get into the 20 million Native Americans. Actually, they prefer to be called Indians. I've been corrected on that, and thank you for that correction. But 20 million, land stolen, butchered, massacred, and kept marginalized today. Where only a few are allowed to be rich through things like the casinos, while the rest of the people are still dirt poor. Many of them living on things like earthen floors. 20 million. Then it was supposed to be Christian-like, and they used the Bible to justify slavery. Are you kidding me? Owning another human being. Let's see, Genesis 1:27, right? Every human being is made in the image of God, correct? It doesn't say in there made in the image of God, but could enslave other men. And then we fought a civil war, the deadliest war in American history, about 600,000 plus killed, more than World War II. For what? Slavery. But it was two aspects of that here. And this is what isn't taught in a lot of history classes. We all know the slavery issue. Okay. And I'm not making an excuse for the South having slaves. There's no excuse for the inhumanity. But the North was really the heavy industrialized area, and they were engaging in tariffs that hurt the agricultural profits of the South. So they were enslaving the South's labor. And the South said the only way we can survive is to have slave labor. And by the way, I think it's a horrible justification for that abuse. But both sides were wrong. I think the stronger moral argument belongs with the forces on the North. We got to stop slavery. But the way the North treated the South was reprehensible and could have resulted in a civil war regardless of slavery because of the economic oppression. And this is something that isn't taught enough. But this inhumanity to man resulted in the deadliest war in our history, and it hadn't stopped. Then we continued with the Jim Crow laws. How does someone become less of a human being in the eyes of God because of their skin color? I've never really understood that reasoning, except I'm so insecure as a person, I'm afraid of competition, so I need to keep people down, and race is a good excuse to do that. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me. And then we get into more of a modern era. Okay. We had a lady, and I've actually talked to her. She's actually a pleasant person, but she voted for citizen funding of Bank One Ballpark. I don't even know what they're calling it. They've changed sponsors so often, but it was for bring Major League Baseball here, and the people would pay for millionaires to become billionaires. Okay. Well, some guy was really opposed to this, and he went and shot Mary Rose in the rear end. And I'm being very serious. It could have been fatal. It just horrible, horrible, horrible event. I didn't agree with her vote, but she certainly didn't deserve that. But I do agree with the sentiment that it is inhumane that you are having a sporting event of maybe 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people, while blocks away you got homeless living under bridges and on street corners, and you're doing nothing for them with the public money. The Bible's quite clear about our obligation to the poor. And we're not doing that. We're obligated to make rich people richer. And the sports arenas is a great symbol of that. It's a symbol of a greater philosophy. And then at the same time, we're ignoring the harmless. Well, what about the vets, the people that put their lives on the line? You don't have to agree with the war, but they're ordered to do something. They're told it's for national security. and they go and risk their lives. They come home with PTSD and other things. And what do we have? 22 vets take their lives every single day. So many of them are homeless. A lot of the percentage of people in prisons are Vietnam War vets. What are we doing to help these people transition? We're not. We're not. And this is inhumane. And then I look at Big Pharma. The biggest criminal act in the modern era in American history was when Richard Nixon met with Edgar Kaiser of Kaiser Permanente and they came up with managed care. Oh, we want to make massive profits, and the way we're really going to enhance our profits is to deny you the medical care that you're already paying premiums on. Big Pharma is a satanic institution. Let's make no mistake about it. People die because of denials, but they save money. And there's been some reformers in there. The movie Sicko, and I won't get into who the producer is. The only time I ever agreed with him was that movie really highlighted the abuses. Now, his solution was worse, communistic medicine. No, I don't think so. But we look at big pharma, and this is where we put our emphasis. We let people die because of money. So we abuse the poor, we abuse the sick, we're racist. The Constitution, great document. How well do we follow it? It's absolutely amazing. And today, in the modern era, we've taken Bible out of the classroom. How well has that worked for our youth? Instead of praying, they're on their cell phones. How well is that working for society? What's happened to literacy rates? But more importantly, it's led to a tolerance of the woke movement and all that that encompasses. And there's not much in there that's very Christian-like, is there? So I come back to this. This is why I'm in the Ephesians 5:11 business, shining light on the evil. You got to identify it before you can attack it. But the way to attack it is not through violent means. The way to attack it is to align with Jesus and the teachings and live that life. And enough of us did that, none of this other crap would make sense and it would start to fade away. Pretty simple. I mean, there are some things that we can do to slow this down. But we are looking, look, I'm just going to say this, technology is not evil. It's neutral. It's how you use it. But when you look at what the big tech people are saying, and I'm going to go through a few more examples today of this, it's anything but democracy. It's anything but Christian values. It's anything but human decency. Might makes right. And it's the golden rule. He who has the gold will make the rules. And this is how they're living. This is how they want to rule over us. And it's happening. The wealth redistribution is the proof of this. If you look at what's being built today, single family homes for purchase, not many people can afford them. Rental homes, where your budget will be stretched to the hilt. And who's behind it? The private equity that funds Silicon Valley, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. And I don't feel I need to go and document this somewhere because it's omnipresent all through the media, the private media, not the public. What are we going to do? Well, I'm just going to say this. There's only one way. I'm going to talk about Sean Ryan next. Sean Ryan shocked the heck out of me. Former CIA podcaster. And I saw something in Sean when he interviewed Brian Harpole. And Sean Ryan's a skilled interviewer. He gave Harpole just enough rope to where he literally hung himself in public. He made himself look insincere and not believable. This is why I'm saying TPUSA should just be quiet. Okay, whatever you did or didn't do, okay, you've gotten away with whatever you did or didn't do, and you should just move on because the more you talk, the more people turn against you. And Sean Ryan let that happen on a show. But I want to talk about what he said to Tucker Carlson. Stay tuned because it's a phenomenal, phenomenal account. Short, sweet, to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dave Hodges. This show defends God, family, country in that order. And we have a special place in our heart, as I think you can tell from this piece, for the oppressed. We are commanded by our Savior to be generous towards the poor. And we're making people poor, and we're sure not being generous. We'll see you back here next time. God bless.